All right,
Just
you ready to
in
record a
case.
really fast episode, Brett?
I'm ready to record a really fast episode, Tyler. When these dads meet world, watching Boy Meets World. We grew up on the show, now we have kids, and host a podcast. We watch each episode and then share our thoughts and grades. When these dads meet world.
They want you to take the roles.
They absolutely do. They want you to take the roles, Brett. And we are back for another classic episode of that 90s wonderful weekly show known as Boy Meets World. This is Dad's Meet World, where we go through step by step, day by day, Boy Meets World.
Fresh new love in a different kind of way.
Exactly. Brett, I'm I keep saying your name even though I have not introduced you yet. I'm dad number one this week, Tyler, and joined as always is
Dad number 2.
Was that duckies? No, garbage.
yeah, we're coming off. I spent this whole weekend at a youth retreat, and Brett was just telling me off mic that he spent most of his day feeling a bit off. So this is going to be a real fun recording.
Yes, it is. Good looking people, if you've never had a migraine, I don't encourage it. But if you've ever experienced one, you know what kind of day I've had.
Yeah. Now, do you like what's his name? Oh, Broncos running back, legendary Thurman
Oh, yeah,
Thomas?
Terrell Davis.
Terrell Davis. Yeah. Do you go blind if you have migraines?
I don't go blind, but my eyes do not want to stay open, and my brain forces me to want to sleep. So if I let it go long enough without attention, it would probably put me to sleep.
Fair. Very fair.
Yeah, but very, very sensitive to lights and sounds. But I don't go blind quite like Terrell did.
Understandable. For those that don't know, Terrell Davis, this calendar year as we're recording, it's already happened, but in the Super Bowl that this running back was in, became blind because he had a migraine in the middle of the game,
Mm-hmm.
and literally said to his coaches, "Hey, put me out there." And they were like, "You can't see." He goes, "I know
You
exactly
can't
where I
see
need to
anything.
go. I'll protect myself, and at least I'm a decoy." And I think they scored like at least 2 touchdowns, like with him on the field blind.
Yeah, it's a fun story. Check it out, good
Mhm.
looking people. It's a fun story to read. Even if you don't like sports, it's an entertaining read.
That's true. Well, Brett, should we get into this episode? It's one of those
I think we
classic
should.
Cory does not look good episodes, so I think we need to just kind of
I think we
make our
should dive
way.
right in. Yeah. Good looking people, we are at the penultimate episode of season 5, episode 23, Things Change, where Cory is distressed when he realizes that his entire world is changing around him. Sean considers not going to college. Topanga considers going to Yale.
Pangers?
Pangers, Chubby's has reformed as Pegleg Pete's, and Mr. Feeney intends to retire and move to Wyoming. This episode was written by Matthew Nelson and Bob Tischler, directed by Alan Meyerson, originally aired May 8th, 1998, 1 week after our last episode, and currently enjoys an IMDb rating of 7.8, which is 0.3 points lower than our last episode, and currently tied for 14th place in the season, along with Chasing Angela and First Girlfriends Club.
Hmm.
Now, Tyler, our previous episode came in at 10.90 in the
Mm-hmm.
Nielsen ratings.
Mm-hmm.
I really could say 10.9. I don't know why I bother with 10.90, but that's the numbers I was given. What do you think Things Change comes in at with the Nielsen numbers?
Mm. Brett, I'm going to be optimistic. Let's say it's 11. We got
11.
10 more viewers.
10 more viewers. 0.10 million more viewers. I'm going to say you're going home without any prizes. We dropped 10.04 million viewers.
I don't understand.
Yes, the prom was the high point for some people. They didn't want to see what happened when things change.
Yeah. Neither do I.
Yeah. So there we go. That's setting the table for us. And we're going to start at Chubby's for you, Tyler.
Yes. Well, we have a little previously on, but let's just skip that, Brett, because, if you've been paying attention
We
to the
don't need
show,
it.
watching it, there's no need to watch the previously on. We know that Cory
Exactly.
makes poor choices. We know that Topanga makes poor choices. And we realize that Angela and Sean are adorable, but they're very much a high school couple. And, you know, they're having a baby.
Well,
Uh,
we're not supposed to know that. They're hiding that from us.
yes. Where?
And
Okay.
Sean's got a camera all of a sudden. We have
Yes,
a new
I
interest
I
for
do love that.
Sean.
Yeah, we're at Chubby's. Sorry, I was going through my notes because I forgot that it was the whole previously on. It goes through so much for no reason. Yeah, so Cory apparently stole everyone's mail and got the Pembroke letter from each of them.
Committing quite possibly the highest level of crime that one can commit out of this group so far. I mean, he has broken federal laws here.
I mean, he didn't blow up a mailbox.
No, he just stole mail.
He didn't set off an Amber Alert.
No. But he still committed a felony.
He did. It would be, but he's a white guy, so it's okay. In
Yeah.
the 90s.
He's a white guy in the 90s. He's safe.
Different time. What happens in the 90s happens, Brad.
It does.
But yes, they start going through each of their letters, if they're accepted or not. And Cory, Topanga, Angela, all three of them get in, no problem. Each time Sean takes a picture of them, and Sean gets on the waiting list.
Yes. Do you find it interesting outside of the fact that this is just convenient for the TV show that they're all applying to and getting into Pembroke, the same school that Jack and Eric are in? Or do you think it
Mhm.
might be a little more realistic that they all were going to go to a different school that wasn't just right there in Philly?
Well, I I'm gonna throw this out there, Brad. We weren't a part of the making of the show, obviously. We're just fans, but I almost wonder if in the original conceit of the show, if they wanted like the end of the show to be it's high school, they're all going off to different schools, and this is them going to go meet the real world now, yada yada. And what happens, we don't know. That's the way life works. But I think after they realize that like the Cory and Topanga thing is so strong that they're like, well, maybe we should go into to college and get to experience a little bit with them in that realm and see them more as adults. And I mean, this is the senior year, Brett, and you and I have talked quite openly
This
that
our
they don't
senior
do a
year?
lot of schooling this year.
I think they might have spent half an episode combined in classrooms this year.
Right. They have a lot of transition time periods of they're gonna walk into class, but not really actual like real learning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, honestly, that first episode where Cory and Sean have that dream sequence about what high school is like, it was fairly prophetic.
Yeah. Yeah. They barely go to school. I still love that. I think it was last episode. No, the episode before that, when Cory looks at Sean and goes, "We really should have taken more classes. We have way too much time on our hands."
Amen.
I think what he means by that is we're taking too many blow off classes.
Yeah.
Because
No,
there's a
I
strong.
think I would give I would give a lot of credit to the creatives behind the camera if that was their thought, that they wanted to go and end with high school as going off to the real world, and just the nature of the beasts dictated, hey, we're going to be aging these guys up more, and just the nature of the beast is we're going to be on longer than this new plan is going to let us be, so we have to retool on the run. I'd give them a little more credit for that. not that I'm discrediting or anything, just it's just a comment. I'm not saying negative or positive. It's just it is just a little convenient that they're all going to go to the same university that Eric and Jack are going to be at. That's just commentary.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, like, it's not that uncommon for this time period for everyone to apply to multiple schools and to see which one they want
Hmm.
to choose to go
Yeah, it's a
to.
shotgun approach.
Yeah, so I mean,
I mean, look
like,
at how many
uh,
Eric applied to before he got accepted at Pembroke. He even
well,
went to
I
Beach State.
so my wife grew up in a town where there was a small college there. Like, it was so small that not a lot of people went to
How
it.
small was it?
Yeah, very small. But, almost everyone applied to that school who went to because there was like, well, this is kind of just a guarantee as long as I have halfway decent grades and get a, okay score on SATs, ACTs, I'm getting in.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
not everyone just applies to one school because that's the one school they want to go to, like someone else I know. Um,
Yeah.
For the record, I had the wrong notes up because I was going through. I'm like, why does why does this look so familiar? And I had honesty night up. Um,
Ah,
so no, yeah,
yes.
there was no previously on. That was just me looking at the wrong stuff.
I was getting a little confused there because I didn't.
Hmm.
I've watched it a couple of times. I didn't remember one, but I was just going to roll with it.
Yeah, it's one of those nights, Brett. So yeah, I guess like Pembroke could just be considered their everyone's guaranteed backup school, but also Cory is shocked that he got in, except his brother got in. So I mean, if you let Eric into your school,
If
you
Eric
would
gets
think
in, you
that
kind of they kind of wrote themselves into a corner. They're Pembroke is depicted in season 6 when we'll get there. They're kind of depicted as this liberal arts college with a kind of a high bar for an admissions standard. They're not just some community college level school. They have some class. They're not
hmm,
Yale, so to speak, but they're not, this community college down the street. But if they let Eric in, whose grades were not good enough to get him a Slurpee, as Feeney said, then there should not have been any problem with them letting Cory in. And it should not be a shock that Sean at least makes the waiting list.
yeah. Well, I mean, we see that Sean actually puts forth an effort where Eric didn't ever really put forth an effort.
Yeah,
Eh,
Sean's effort does come sooner than Eric's
yeah.
did.
I mean, I will say, like, I think because of Topanga, because of Cory, Sean is more of motivation to give at points an effort, whether it's a true, like, I'm going to get good grades, or it's just I need to be honest, and my honesty normally is what is rewarded.
Mm.
So, I think it's funny because, Sean has this camera that he's taken a bunch of pictures of, and Cory pays nothing attention to this, but he's kind of making clear, like, I really enjoyed this. Like, this really brings me happiness. And Cory is one of those episodes, Brett, where Cory is so focused on the thing he's focused on, he literally doesn't hear another word someone says.
Oh, of course. This
And
is classic self-centered Cory.
yeah. So and so much so, Brett, that we get to the high school, the one of the few
Oh,
times we spent time in the school, and Cory apparently knows everyone who was accepted to Pembroke at their school, which apparently there's a bunch, and he is literally trying to convince all of them to either go to a
oh yeah.
different school or maybe join the army.
This is this has to rank up there. I was on Reddit earlier earlier this week. This is
You
Sunday
poor
we're
man.
recording. Last week, and there was a thread on there. Someone was trying to they're going through and they're figuring out what the worst things that each character did. They're going through one by one each of the characters. This one act that Cory's doing here was getting a lot of attention because Cory is Cory is messing with the future of people's lives here just for
Yeah.
his own selfish needs. Like with David, which, by the way, David, played by Robert Gorman, first and only time we'll see him on Boy Meets World. 32 acting credits: Designing Women, Falcon Crest, Quantum Leap, Empty Nest, Forever Young, Leprechaun. Yes, that Leprechaun, the horror movie. Mr. Nanny, Full House, Surface, Leatherheads, Drop Dead Diva. Hasn't been on camera since 2009. Uh, he's convincing him to go to Turnpike State, and he gets Topanga to get in on it. Barry, played by Zach Graham, first and only time we'll see him on Boy Meets World. He's only got 5 acting credits: Spin City, The Single Guy, Head Cases, and The Chelsea Handler Show. Hasn't been on camera since 2006. He had a full ride to Pembroke, and his dad took a swing at him when he told him he was going to give up the full ride and go to, what was it, Tahiti for multiple years. Cory is messing with the future of people's lives based on lies for the sake of his own personal desires.
Yep.
This is absolutely unforgivable.
I will say, if Cory had just said that someone got into Pembroke or IUP, don't go to IUP, that's a big party school over there.
Yeah.
If the writers knew anything about Pennsylvania at all, and the college you should not
Slippery
go
Rock.
to, IUP, yeah, Slippery Rock, like, and a little bit of Edinburgh, probably. Like, there's plenty of schools that are not the greatest to
Turnpike
send someone
State.
to. What?
Turnpike State.
Yeah, Turnpike State. I mean, even Penn
Pike
State
girls, they
has
have a
a hard
promiscuity problem.
acceptance getting into, but
They have
whenever
branch
the
campuses.
whenever the football games are going down, it basically turns into a city of partying. So
Yeah, my Kelly worked at a branch campus for Penn State, and they were branch campus, but they had some partying going on.
oh yeah.
But yeah, the Raiders could have done a little better there than Turnpike State. I know why they went with Turnpike State, because they didn't want to accuse
Offend.
any one school and offend their base of being
Mm.
that type of school. But still,
Well, Brett, I like TV nowadays because they don't care. They'll just throw a random school under the bus that some writer has a vendetta against.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So no, Cory is out of his mind. And Brett, you've partaken in a little bit of photography in your day. Have you ever
Mhm.
seen a dark room that's just separated by one door that can easily be having a bunch of light coming through it?
Not like that. No, this is definitely TV look at a dark room.
The moment the door would swing open, all of those pictures are
Oh, they're
done.
done. Anything that's not, yeah, they're all ruined. This
Mm.
this is a TV understanding of a dark room, and Cory has just ruined all of the work for those photographs if he
Yeah.
actually walked in.
I will say, one of the senior classes I did was photography, and I really enjoyed it. And if that wasn't such an expensive hobby,
Oh
that
yeah.
would be one I'd love.
I mean, I love digital photography, and I would love to do some more traditional photography, but I do not have I don't have the funds for it, nor the space to convert anywhere in my house into a dark room.
Hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's only a few years after this show is done that type of photography it comes very niche.
Oh yes. It's a niece now.
Hmm. But
Yeah.
I like that Sean is very passionate about what he's doing right now.
He is, and I've only got a couple of clips, and this is one of them, because as much as they're dropping this storyline in for Sean at the last minute in season 5, I really appreciate the passion that he has in finding something artsy. And so I'll share this clip here.
After you graduate from Pembroke, my friend, your boss is going to be working for you.
Ugh, come on. I'm just on the waiting list for college, Core. You know, I'm not waiting for anything here. Jonathan's already got me developing my own pictures, you know? Doing good.
No, Sean, this is just a hobby, okay? You can take these kind of courses in college.
I might not get in. You want me to be smart? I'm smart to consider other options.
What other options?
Cool.
What?
My picture, it's finished and it's good. What do you think?
I think you haven't listened to a thing I've said, Sean.
That is also a very bright, dark room.
Oh yes, very bright, but we got to be able to see our characters talking.
Oh, I know.
So,
It's just so funny. Yeah, I like how they are both on two different thought process, and they are not.
Mhm.
They're almost not even willing to have a conversation with the other one.
And yet Sean is trying. He's making the effort. He's telling Cory, "Look, I know I might not get in, and I did find something that I have passion about. I am. This excites me. I like this. And you know what? If I don't get into college, then I found something that I can fall back on."
Yeah.
And
Well,
Cory is gonna really tick me off later when he completely ignores anything that Sean has to say about this. But we'll get to
yeah.
that when we get there.
Well, I will say they do make it clear he's only been working there for 3 weeks, which is a fair. It's the last couple weeks of high school. I'm gonna get a random job, and hey, yeah, I kind of like it. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's not. It is a last minute throw in just because. Um, but this is how Sean typically is, though. He finds a passion and he
Yeah.
throws himself into it.
Right, and look back at how to succeed in business. One of the few things that we learned from that is that Sean is a bit of a savant. He can pick things up really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
He's very talented in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, I mean, he picked up on philosophy pretty quick.
Mm-hmm. Picked up
So,
on the finer points of philosophy, the basic points of philosophy. He picked up on, and he found a passion there. He picked up on advertising, and he found a passion there. He's picking up on. He picked up on poetry when he found Angela's purse, and he found a passion there. He's
mhm.
picking up on photography here, and he's finding a passion here. I mean, we're seeing these things laid out. The writers are kind of tripping over them as they go, and they'll kind of coalesce later on into more of a fleshed out character arc for him. But yeah, I mean, this is who we've got now, and Cory is not willing to see that his friend actually has something that he's found here that's worthwhile.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I'll also say for Cory, he has heard his whole life. Go to college. If you go to college, you'll be successful. Go to college, you'll be successful.
Mm-hmm.
And the fear of his friend not being successful has been driving him for years. And now they're at the finish line, and he's hearing his friend, "I don't want the chance to be successful."
Yep.
What he doesn't understand is for the type of work that Sean might have an interest in, being almost an apprentice to learn how to run a business to then maybe becoming a partner, or even being someone who takes on a different business himself and they work together, like there's plenty of ways to grow for Sean in this realm.
Oh yeah.
Cory's just so focused on get to college, get my friend to college, because they've made a pact they're going to the same college no matter what.
Yep.
But Brett, can we get to the important things in this world?
Oh yes.
Duckies. Yes. Have you and Kelly ever had a disagreement on how you're gonna decorate a nursery bed or a bedroom?
No, we've never had any arguments over decoration.
Yes, I agree. Duckies is the way to go. Duckies rule.
Abby would agree with you too. She loves this sequence. And Asher. This is one of their favorite sequences in all of Boy Meets World. The Duckies.
He's great. And I just love how happy Eric is for his parents because he's going to be an uncle.
Oh yeah, Duckies. Duckies fool.
Yes, I will say, when my sister came along, we had teddy bears for her wallpaper. Like we had a trim,
Mm-hmm.
so it was like one color wall, and then trim of teddy bears. We actually had that wallpaper as is through my brother taking over that room after I graduated, moving back into that room when I would visit, and then after I was no longer considered living at my parents' house, they were like, "Okay, seriously, we have to get rid of the the teddy bears."
Yeah, we will probably have some redecoration going on soon when Abby goes off to college in the fall, and we'll be moving one of the boys down into her bedroom. So
Nice.
yeah,
Yeah, I like how Amy. We're like, let's just say, like we're like 4 weeks out from where we were last with the Matthewses. I know we normally go on. It's the next week, but this is the way they're setting it up.
there's
Is
been some time passed
right.
since prom.
So you know, we're Amy and Alan have been pregnant for maybe at most like 12 weeks, not
Mm-hmm.
even, based on potentially when Amy would have realized it and told Alan and
Yeah,
maybe had their first appointment. So Amy's full blown. We got to get ready. We got to get
she's
this
nesting.
giant bedroom that's housed two boys ready to become a nursery.
Yeah, yeah, she's already hit nesting phase. Alan's not there yet.
No, and that's understandable.
Yeah, for many
Um
reasons.
yeah, I just love how Eric's super supportive, and then Cory with his grumpiness walks through, and they're trying to say
He
how
wants
fun it
nothing
is.
to do
Even
with it.
Topanga is like, yes, fun.
And Cory, it's starting to hit Cory. Sean might not go to college. They want to change his room when he moves
Mm-hmm.
out. Things are gonna be changing, and his life is not gonna be the same. And
Mm-hmm.
he can go one of two ways here. He can either accept it with grace, or
He can pull
he
a
can
Tyler.
be or he can be complete self-absorbed. I'm trying to pick my words here so I can keep it family friendly. We'll just call him a jerk.
Yeah. So let me describe to you, Brett, what goes down for a middle child whenever he's told before graduating. Oh yeah, whenever you graduate and whenever you leave, we're gonna redecorate your room because you're not gonna need it all the time. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so what happened for me was the night before graduation, I looked around and said, well, it's not going to be my room in a couple of days, so I might as well just throw everything away before they throw all my stuff away. So all the posters and all the things I cared so much about, I ripped them down and tore them apart, and plenty of memories that I just discarded, Brett, because I was disappointed and upset that my room was no longer going to be mine. And I think I can relate to Cory so much this episode, Brett, because
Mm-hmm.
I remember being his age and feeling like, oh my gosh, everything is changing and people are forcing change upon me, and this isn't fair.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I remember, let's just say that, you know, some people try to be realistic on what type of involvement I could have in the future with a certain youth group I was a part of. And it felt like they were kicking me out and they don't want to see me anymore. And they say things like, we still love you and you can still, blah, blah, blah. But all I heard was, goodbye, we're done with you. So, it was a sensitive time for me, and I can reflect and see for Cory, this is a sensitive time for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I myself, I'm of two minds. Um, I see and I understand the pain that he experiences and the frustration he experiences, and I feel for that. I also see and I understand that he does need to understand he is not the center of the world, and that he needs to have some empathy for the people around him that he is chastising, that he is putting down, and that he is outright calling losers by his actions and his words. People that care deeply about him and for him, because he can't see past the end of the nose on his own face.
Oh, he's in full-blown destructive mode.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he makes it very clear. He wants to live in the same town, go to the same college, have the
Have
same
same
jobs, go on the
jobs,
same
do vacations
vacations,
at the
and all
same
die
time.
together. Be buried at the
Yes.
same place.
Yeah.
Yeah. The whole meeting his future wife and best friend at 5 years old is apparently not working out for him anymore.
That definitely did not help for him. No.
Yeah.
But Sean is he's going to be offered a full-time job assistant at a full-time assistant job with the photography studio, and he gets off the wait list into Pembroke.
Yeah. Both are big things.
Yes. And Sean has every right to choose whichever one he wants. And Cory thinks he's throwing his life away by not choosing Pembroke.
Yep. But Brett, I'm also going to say it. Sean could work full-time as a photographer assistant, but also, if he really wanted to, could go to community college and take some nighttime courses and build up some of those things, or just remain part-time within the photography business and go to college. None of those things are outside of the realm of possibility.
No, they could all be on the table. Now, granted, within a 22-minute episode, we don't have the time to explore that kind of
No.
nuance. Nor did we have that type of thinking in the writing for this type of an episode 30 years ago.
Brett, it's the 90s, no one cares.
Exactly. Besides, community college was looked upon not too favorably 30 years ago. That was where
Oh
you
my
go
gosh,
to when you
right?
fail out, you know?
Yeah. Townies go there.
Even if. But in any event, this is looked upon as a waste by Cory. And I one of the other clips I have here is Cory's breakdown, which is one part humorous, one part, wow, this is a bad look for you, Cory.
If I was your father, Sean, I'd spank you. Because that's what you deserve. A big spanking. Now take down your pants.
Topanga has some news, right, Topanga? This is probably about time. Topanga got a letter from Yale.
If you don't go to Pembroke, we are finished.
Don't worry, honey. I don't even know if Yale accepted me yet.
I was talking to Sean. What are you talking about?
Go ahead, open it. I applied to Yale when Cory and I broke up.
You know, you have a chance to have a real future here.
Not because I really wanted to go. I just wanted to see if I could get in.
To get the kind of education where you do not have to talk about exhaust manifolds for the rest of your life.
Because, you know, with my GPA being so high and my boards being so well high.
You deserve more, Sean, okay? Give yourself a chance.
Give me that. Here's your food.
Not hungry.
Not my problem. Still have to pay.
Sean.
I need time to think, Cory.
You made the wait list, kid. Nice going. I think I'll give the check to you.
Man, Chubby's really stepped up their game with a real waitress and everything.
I know, bringing the food to the table and everything. He's gone from hole in the wall to this.
Yeah.
We'll see why in a little bit later. But here's where Cory really loses me. I had a lot of sympathy. I had sympathy for him up to this point. But the minute he starts comparing Sean's passion in photography to looking down upon it, where he can get an education where he doesn't have to be talking about exhaust manifolds for the rest of his life.
Mm-hmm.
Cory comes from a middle-class family.
Mm-hmm.
He is white collar all the way.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen this for 5 years. Cory has a habit of looking down upon blue-collar people without realizing it, even though his best friend is blue-collar all the way.
Yes.
It bothers me to no end that he drops all veneer here and reveals that he doesn't want his best friend to be blue collar anymore. He wants
Yep.
to, from his perspective, he thinks he can pull Sean up out of the blue collar into the white collar world with him. And
Yep.
that he views photography as on that same level as blue collar and something that's beneath him, that's beneath Sean. And that bothers me on many, not just because I see that as a negative thing, but I'm a photographer too. That's an insult to me as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I've been blue. I grew up blue collar. I grew up, I mean, not in a trailer park. Well, actually, my first house was a trailer. So yeah, I really am kind of Sean. But on top of that, he is paying no attention to the woman of his dreams as she's revealing that she got on the wait list to Yale, one of the most elite colleges in the United States. And he'll reveal, I had to cut the clip short, but he'll reveal that he really doesn't think that much of her getting on the wait list at Yale. He heard it and he didn't process it. But he's so focused on Sean that Sean couldn't get into Yale. I couldn't get into Yale. You could barely get into Yale. And it's just, it minimizes Topanga and her accomplishments in that same moment too. And it's just, any sympathy I had for Cory throughout this story is completely jettisoned in this interaction, because Cory has gone from my life is really messed up to I am so central. I have main character syndrome, and I'm going to take it out on everyone.
Well, okay. I agree with you that when he does not hear Topanga and her accomplishment, it does not look good for him. But I'm still in the lane of Cory is disastrifying everything. And if he doesn't convince his friend to go to college with him, he is letting his friend down. I think that Cory remembers who Sean believes he'll become someday.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the pre-union episode, he says, "My dad sells mufflers. I'll sell mufflers." I'm assuming he knew that his friend worked at his uncle's bike shop. So
Mm-hmm.
he knows that his friend will work on things and fix stuff, and he'll do whatever he needs to. And I agree with you. I think Cory doesn't realize his privilege in this moment or ever, because he didn't have to watch his dad struggle to rise up the ladder.
Mm-hmm.
Most likely, when he was born, his dad was already maybe an assistant manager, and you know
Yeah.
potentially rose to being like a young manager, which is why they have the nice big house they have, and um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it seemed like it was something he's been doing for a long time. So, Cory never had to deal with his father going through those hardships, and maybe them having to make choices on what to buy, what not to buy. So if you grow up in a house where you're not stressed about those things, at least as a child, you do tend to look down on people, and it's not good. I don't think it was an intention of Cory or of Alan and Amy, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, unfortunately, Cory is continuing in his disastrifying right now, and is almost a cartoon at this point as well. Like I think he's having a mental breakdown. Like his anxiety is so high, and I don't think people had the words to describe to him and help him through this. Because if they
Mm-hmm.
had, I don't think Angela would have convinced Topanga to open the letter, or at least Topanga would have realized it's not the time. Like, I
Yeah,
will
I mean,
wait.
they're all just kind of laughing him off when he tells Sean to pull down his pants so he can spank him right there in the middle of Chubby's. So I
Yeah,
mean,
no.
they're all really not sure how to handle him.
Well, and Corey and Eric both, I will say, as the show at this point continues forward, anytime they start to act ridiculous, people just act like it's them being funny. And I think they both have some mental things that aren't being addressed because in the 90s we didn't know how to properly talk about them.
I wouldn't put it
Again,
past him.
it does not justify him ignoring his girlfriend's accomplishment. Although I will say that we will learn at the end of season 6, her father apparently went to Yale, and his father went to Yale, and his father's father went to Yale. So,
She should
you
never have been
know,
stuck on the wait list. She's a legacy.
right. It's the rewriting of context that this show will constantly do, because with that later understanding, oh sorry, yes, it should have been easy for her to get into Yale. She should have been first ballot.
Yeah. Well, anyway, this by the way, Maria, played by Ricky
Not hungry.
Dale. Yes. Not my problem. This is the second of 2 appearances she'll be in. She was also Maria back in Wheels. 14
Mm.
acting credits. If you want to hear about her IMDb information, you can check out our Wheels episode. Good continuity pull for Chubbies to have Maria in 2 episodes in the same role. But
Or
this
they
will be
just
the
forgot.
last episode we see her in. This is also the last scene, the last time that we will really ever see Chubbies in its current form. Ever.
That doesn't adjust right in front of our eyes, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So let's talk about Jonathan, Sean's boss, played by David Packer. First
Yes.
and only time on Boy Meets World. 61 acting credits. St. Elsewhere, MASH, V, RoboCop, 30-something, Phenom, ER, Brooklyn South, Almost Heroes, Early Edition, Profiler, Diagnosis Murder, CSI, Unbreakable, Kimmy Schmidt, and more. Hasn't been on camera in the last decade. And again, Cory has no respect for Sean or his life choices. He's getting Jack to interfere and come because, as Jack puts it, he knows all your tricks and he won't listen to you.
Yeah. Corey is scheming in a high school level. I love how he gets Jack involved, and he's
Mhm.
like, "And why are you here? And what are you gonna do?" And so quickly, Jack falls for the easiest of tricks.
Have you modeled before?
Yeah. But I do believe this is where we start the trend of Jack is a hunk, and
And a little bit self-centered
yeah,
and a little
but
bit a little too body conscious.
yeah, but maybe Brett, he starts modeling, and that's why he's so into himself.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
2% body fat.
Oh, I can't wait for the college little inserts to come in.
Yes. And Sean again, he tries to tell Cory why. Cory does not hear it.
Hmm. I do
Yeah.
love that, Jack's got 2 girls on his shoulders, and he's like, why do I need to go to school? To go to school to get a good job so I can have girls on me? I got 2 girls on me right now.
And I do love when Cory goes over to pick up Jack and Matthew breaks. You can see
Oh,
it.
the
He
the
breaks
lack
when
of
he gets
audio
picked
is
up.
very clear.
Oh yeah, it's hilarious to watch when he breaks when Ben's picking him up to
It's one of
carry him
my
out.
favorite random little moments, and just the way that Ben picks him up, and
Yeah, it's that
nothing is quality about that.
it's that nervous energy that Ben does so well that I was praising in Promises. It's that same type of energy that he has that he nails.
Yeah, exactly.
Enter Feeney.
Yes. I love how he goes. He goes, I have a doorbell. Ding dong.
Ding dong. As the entire wall ripples because it's a set. I can't help
Yes.
it. My eye always goes to it every time.
I do love that Feeney refers to Mr. Matthews this whole scene as Cory.
Yes.
Because
Cory.
he needs to let him down.
Yeah. And I am so impressed with Mr. Feeney, who has for years talked about the importance of college and the importance of continuing your education. He just got off the phone with Sean, which I assumed to mean Sean called him.
That's what I thought too.
And he told Sean that he approves of his decision, which I find fabulous for a character who is all about college and going on to college and has been on Sean's back about getting into college. And to see that Sean has made the decision not to go to college, he agrees with his decision.
Yeah.
And supports it.
Yeah. Well, but as for an educator in high school, I do understand Feeney's stance of my job in your senior year is to prepare you for college if that's where you go. But anyway, he's trying to prepare them for life. Now they understand, I'm going to be a little harder on you, and I'm going to be a little more difficult in ways because the real world is not going to give you all the chances that I will give you. So, but yeah, Feeney is nothing but supportive because that's who Feeney is.
Yeah.
He's been with them for a long time. Apparently, we'll learn next season, kindergarten.
Yeah. But Feeney's got some news of his own, doesn't he?
Yep. Crazy George, next door neighbor.
Yeah.
Not so anymore. He's moving.
No. He's
retiring and moving.
early. School board's giving him early retirement. He's going to move to Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
I love how he says early retirement when his actual age is way beyond the point that he could have gotten retirement already.
He has to be at least, he can't be, at best, he's only a year early from the retirement age. He has to be only a year early.
Yeah, not even. So, funny Feeney.
Yeah. Cory's, again, more stuff for Cory to take in that he's not processing well.
Yeah. He's
not handling well without teaching. You're just crazy George next door. Not even, well, hey, you know what? You've had a long teaching career. You know, that's great. That's good for you. Now, granted, he's not in a frame of mind where that's going to be top of mind, top 5 response for him anyway. But just again, another thing added to the plate for Cory.
I love how Cory has a moment though with Feeney where he's able to be honest. It's like, did everyone decide to get together to ruin my life? And Feeney's just he's trying so desperately to help him understand, like, it's understandable you feel this way, but it's going to be okay. And I almost wish he could have said, you know, this world isn't always about one little boy. It would have been so awesome. But I it's a complication within all of this. Hi, kitty cat. And I love that next Topanga stops over and she has a letter from Yale, and Cory puts it to his head and says, "The Ivy League is pleased to announce the further disintegration of your world."
Oh, yes. Old Johnny Carson reference. Lost on today's generation, unfortunately.
It's lost on me, Brett.
Oh, yeah. Johnny Carson. Oh, the Late Show. The Tonight Show host before Jay Leno used to have a routine he would do where he would hold sealed envelopes to his forehead and would predict what was in them before opening them.
Nice.
That was the shtick. It
Fair.
was comedic, but yeah, that's what Cory's doing there. Yeah.
I do love that we finally have a real scene of Morgan this season.
I know. She has just been so desperately missed.
Yeah, it's like she keeps swearing every couple of days and just going
to
and
her room.
being grounded.
Yeah.
But apparently Morgan was sent out by mom and dad to see if he's okay.
Yeah. And it's supposed to be a sweet moment. I do find it kind of tinged with a little more self-centered moping, but it is kind of, there is a sweetness to it where he's kind of, his world's kind of crumbling around him and he's kind of clutching onto one thing that he knows can't change because, she's only in, what is she, fourth or fifth grade at this point, and she can't, there's not really anything that can change with her. She's going to be at home. She's going to be in school. She can't move away.
Well, Brett, and you know as well as I do, if everyone knows, especially parents know that you got a child who's ready for a fight, you send in the innocent one. The one that when they look at, they can't get mad at because they've done nothing wrong and they will act like a normal human being in front of.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure my parents did that with me because I'm a Cory Matthews. I'd disastrophied. I'd act like a jerk out of nowhere. And then my sweet sister would come along and just sit by me and start talking to me about whatever's going on in her little world. And can't be mad at her. She's done nothing wrong.
No. She didn't know anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By love, we try to go to Chubby's one last time, Brett, because nothing changes at Chubby's.
Which, by the way, when they walk in, you can see in the background there is pirate themed stuff in there already. And okay, two things. One, I understand within the theme of the episode, it's got to happen this way, but they would have changed everything before people came in.
Yeah.
But two, you really got to be wrapped up in your own stuff to not notice that the entire decor has changed drastically.
It's almost like he has ADHD and he can't see anything he doesn't want to see.
Oh, yeah. But when Cory notices that everything has changed, that's just the last
ahoy, matey.
The last crack in the armor. Everything's gone and Chubby.
I do love Cory's just this is his at the end of Planet of the Apes. You maniacs, you blew it all up.
Yep. And where's Chubby going? Chubby sold the restaurant. He's moving to Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
I know one thing, Brett. We're never going to Jackson Hole. That's for sure.
I'm not. All these years, I've never thought to look up Jackson Hole and see what it's really like.
Me neither.
Might have to before the season 6 premiere.
Might have to. I will say, it does bother me a smidgen, Brett, to have a restaurant be able to change its whole decor like in a day. Like, this isn't Bar Rescue. Like, you can't just change everything out and everyone just goes with it.
And they're clearly in the midst of the change because when Cory gets the Buccaneer burger, he's supposedly, it seems like he's the first one to try it.
Yeah, so, it's weird.
Again,
I mean,
hyper reality.
Unless the new owner is so tight for cash, Brett, that they have to keep it open even during the midst of remodeling.
They sold everything they had to buy this off of Chubby.
Yeah. Could be. And they looked around and said, you know what? Everything looks good. Except you know what make it better? Pirates.
Pirates. Everyone loves pirates. Ooh, 1999. Were pirates big in 1990? Or 98?
I don't know. I thought pirates became actually big after Pirates of the Caribbean came out.
Yeah, I don't remember them being huge until Pirates of the Caribbean hit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, well, Eric comes in with some wisdom. This was my last clip I had.
You know, I went through that same thing when I first graduated from high school, but that's why I took a year off before I went to college.
You didn't have the grades to get into college.
I'm talking here. Sit down. Good things are happening to your friends, Cory. And you need to be happy for them. Or else, what kind of friend are you?
Okay, matey, you're the first to walk the plank. Let me know how it is.
You know, if I take a bite of this, it's like Chubby's is just a memory. It's like everything's changing, and we don't know what's gonna happen. Just taste it. Oh no, it's good. Hey, what happened to Chubby's? Well, guys, it's not Chubby's anymore. It's Peg Leg Pete's.
We gotta do something about that. Never mind.
I love that it's Eric who's able to talk to him.
Yes.
And he's very direct. Good things are happening for your friends.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to be happy for them.
Yeah. The one person besides Morgan that was not gonna be changing, because Eric's off at college. You know, he's gonna be at college. In fact, he's gonna be welcoming Cory to join him at college.
Mm-hmm.
And someone that he spent a lot of time with Cory on that cross-country road trip where they actually were able to rebuild that bond that we unfortunately didn't get to see enough of this season.
Yeah, I agree.
But in that rare moment of clarity, of lucidity that we don't get to see enough of, he's the one that gets to bring the wisdom, and he gets to just a couple of sentences. If you're not able to see that, what kind of friend are you?
Yeah. And I do love that the three of them are together in a scene for like 3 seconds because Eric's trying to give advice and she's like, you couldn't get into college. He's like, I'm talking. It's like, if you have 3 kids, if they're all 3 together, one of them is correcting another one and being a jerk to the other one.
Totally.
It doesn't matter who it is. You can have 2 together, but you can't always have all 3
Oh, no,
together.
I have that happen with 2 in my back seat when I pick up my teenagers and drive them home from school. It's a 5-minute drive, and I'll have one of them correcting the other at some point.
Yep. But I love how, because Eric is still in this mindset of, you know, Cory, hey, change is going to happen and we have to accept it. And Cory's like, yeah, I can accept a lot of these changes. Even Feeney's change. The fact he's retiring and he's leaving. What? Yeah, now Eric is starting his mental breakdown.
His mentor's leaving him.
Yes. Although, okay, in fairness to Eric, he says, because, okay, Cory says, I could even accept that Feeney's retiring, yelling.
Yeah,
What? There we are.
I was in the wrong window.
He says he's moving to Jackson Hole here in Philadelphia, and Jack, his best friend, says in Hawaii. Brett, spoiler alert for deep dives, there is no Jackson Hole, Hawaii. So why his friend says Hawaii, I have no idea other than to make his best friend look stupid.
I don't know. I think it was probably just that. It was more of a sarcastic, no, Hawaii. One of those kinds of things.
But he calls him, you incredible, unbelievable moron. It's like, but he's processing, Jack. Don't be a jerk.
Yeah. That's what friends do, don't you know?
Yeah, I will say, Brett, this this starting of Eric's mental breakdown is one of my favorite runners of the next episode for him. Because
Yeah,
his
it is.
storyline of him trying to convince Feeny to not retire, to not move, brings me so much joy, Brett. Does it make sense? No, but it brings me joy.
It is so full of laughter.
Yeah. And we get a touching moment of where Cory's kind of able to apologize in his way, and everyone's kind of able to end on good terms. And
Still
we get to
tells
the tag,
Sean he
Brett.
thinks he's making a mistake, but still apologize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We get to the tag, Brett, where
Eric with a
Eric,
surfboard.
Eric has a surfboard. He's got some. I'm assuming they're swims trunks, and he's calling off Mr. Feeney. Dude,
Catch some waves. Mr. Feeney goes along with it, regretting this already.
I love Feeney. What's with the bitchin' board, bro?
I love it. I think my favorite part of all that, though, is it breaks my heart. If I'm really quiet, will you stay? I get a catch in my throat every time I see that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Eric's not subtle. Eric is not always good at communicating his fears and wants and needs. And really, he just wants to know, like, hey, if I'm not that much of a problem for you, like if I'm the reason you're leaving, if I could change a little bit, will you stay? Gosh, it just hits your heart.
It does. Get you right there.
Well, Brett, that was a jerky episode.
That was. So let's see if we can get some jerky deep dives.
People, 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 people. Am I the only one who read the summer reading list?
All right, so I have not seen these deep dives except from last week. So let's see what happens. What I have. Okay. So, how long, Brett, do you think it takes to buy a restaurant and get things all up and running and switching hands and whatnot?
Oh, I'd say anywhere from a few weeks to a couple of months.
Yeah. 60 days is apparently the rough outline.
Mm-hmm.
So, and apparently that's considered to be on the quicker side too, because that all takes into account of the financing element to it, and probably negotiations of pricing and how everything will be considered and whatnot. And the fun thing is that for restaurants, sometimes they're leased, sometimes you own the building itself. So there's so many complications that come with it. There's almost a part of me, Brett, that wonders if uh Chubby was leasing it, so he sold his business to the person that owned the building, which maybe that's why they were able to just like, hey, Chubby's, tomorrow it's now Peg Leg Pete.
Very possible. Or he
You
just
know,
sold. Maybe Chubby was a majority stakeholder and he sold his majority stakes to someone else.
maybe. I mean, we have seen that Chubby is three other people, so maybe the three Chubbies all came together.
Exactly. The three Chubbies came together and sold their share, and yeah, to a guy named Pete,
Yeah.
who was minority stakeholder.
Okay, let's see here. Let's go with teacher retirement, Brett, in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania teachers are part of the Pennsylvania Public School Employees Retirement System. The system was established in 1917 and is the largest public retirement system in the state. Unlike most states, new teachers in Pennsylvania are given a choice over their retirement plan. By default, new teachers are enrolled in a hybrid plan which combines elements of both a defined benefits pension plan and a defined contribution plan. However, new hires can elect to enroll instead in the state Okay, wow. State standalone plan teachers who begin their career state prior to 2011 are enrolled in the state traditional plan system. Different plans, different things. Okay, so essentially, to my understanding, Brett, the big thing is that there is a multiplier, and that's based on the plan you have plus the final average salary. Sorry, times the final average salary times the years of service. So, for someone like Feeney, who's been teaching, as he says, for over 30 years, over 35 years, I think he may even said 40 years. I can't remember what the last number he gave for how many years he's been teaching, but um, it's a lot of years serving, and probably his salary is quite high since he is both a assistant principal and also a teacher of 3 or 4 different subjects.
Just a bit.
So Feeney would be making bank in retirement's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay, so uh, what do you think the acceptance rate, Brett, is for a Yale student, someone who's applying to the school of Yale, Brett?
Around 4%.
Yeah, 4.5. Apparently, for every 100 of applicants, roughly just shy of 5 are admitted.
Mhm.
But that's like general admissions.
That doesn't count legacies, does it?
It does not count legacies, Brett. Because if we go over to legacies, this is from the Yale News, Yale Daily News. Where is it? There's a number. Okay. So, 11% of Yale College class of 2027 are 11% of the Yale's 2027 are legacies, according to the admissions office. First year class profile, the number marks slightly decreased in legacy population uh, from the class of 2026, which was 12%. Legacy students, the class of 2025, which was 14%. So, if you are a regular admission, you're looking at 4.5, 5-ish to be nice. But if you're talking about legacies, Brett, anywhere between 11 to 14%, and I'd say those are pretty big differences.
Yeah.
Apparently, it, it's throwing some shade in this article over to Harvard because they're citing studies saying that 70% of Harvard's donor related and legacy applicants are white, apparently.
Ooh.
Harvard and Yale have to be throwing shade at each other, even in their school publications. Okay, so we're looking at the cost of Yale, Brett, over the years. You want to take a shot in the dark at what you think of 1998 on what the cost of Yale was?
I'm going to say 150,000.
Sorry. 150,000. No, I have on here 31,030
Per year?
Mm-hmm. In
Okay, I was going 4 years, so
yeah,
it's
sorry.
still high, but
Yeah. So in 2015 dollars, because I believe that's when this article came out, it would be considered $44,683.
Mhm.
You want to
So
take a guess
I'm
at
closer
what
to
the
today's.
yeah. Let's see. you want to take a guess on when you graduated, on what the price would have been if you had gone to Yale?
I graduated 2005, so I'm going to stick with around 150,000.
Alright. So we're looking at 38, 850. So I guess this is term. Yeah, per term.
Also per term, not per year. Okay.
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, so
The
that would
term
make it about
bill. Yeah, sorry,
about
per term.
320.
Yep, which is roughly similar. So
Okay, so about 320 when I would have graduated then.
yeah, I mean, if you're talking all total, yes. Yeah. Interestingly enough, though, in 1939, which is the first year it registered, 1940, $900 Brett.
Hmm. Now, if I could get today's Yale education for what 1939 prices, I'd be all on board.
Wow. Do you want to take a guess at what year it finally crossed over 10,000?
1972.
1981 to 82.
Wow.
I think there's a problem in higher education, Brett.
You think?
Because roughly about the same amount of time that it went from 900 to 10,000, we went from 10,000 to 62. I don't even know what it is right now. I just, I don't even want to guess. I don't even want to know.
Yeah.
It's enough to make me mad. I know that.
True.
All right. So I found for Philadelphia, Brett. Right now, there are some jobs available for photographers / photographers assistants / content creators. So I mean, social media assistant. So roughly, you're looking at $15 an hour, which is pretty reasonable. I don't have the hours listed, but you know, for social media assistant, $20 an hour. Videographer, editor, $750 a day, maybe 200 for a day. So I mean, there's plenty of well-paying jobs, Brett, in this avenue. Excuse me. If you know what you're doing and you do a good job.
Exactly.
So, for Cory to be all, you can't be a photographer, it's a hobby. Well, aren't you uppity?
Yes, Cory is very
How?
uppity.
Yeah. How would your girlfriend's parents feel? I mean, they owned a bookstore. They had to move to Pittsburgh. Their Yale education cost them so much.
Yeah. Cory is a piece of work.
Yes. So Jackson Hole, Wyoming, Brett. It is a valley between Gros Ventre and Teton Mountain Range in the U.S. state of Wyoming, near the border of Idaho in Teton County. The term hole was used by early trappers and mountain men as the term for a large mountain valley. These uh, these lowly valleys surrounded by mountains and contains rivers and streams and good habitat for beavers and other furry bearing animals. So it's probably a great area for fishing, hunting, trapping, all that fun jazz. Apparently, some films that were set or shot in Jackson Hole: Bad Men, Big Sky, The Wild North, Shane, Spencer's Mountain, Any Which Way You Can, Mountain Men, Rocky 4, Dances with Wolves, Django Unchained, and apparently was the major location for the video game The Last of Us, Last of Us Part 2, and some notable people who have apparently have secondary homes in Jackson Hole include Sandra Bullock, RuPaul, Kanye West, Kim Kardashian. I have no idea who that is, and Harrison Ford.
Hmm.
So, Jackson Hole, the place where some celebrities have a secondary home, and apparently a place where there's mountains, fishing, and probably some chilledness. I don't know. I've never been there.
Can't say I
Those
have.
are your deep dives, Brett. What are you doing?
All right. Well, let's talk about what we learned.
You know anything about the Odyssey? Huh? Did I say you could talk?
I didn't teach you that.
My friend Mr. Matthews will lead the discussion.
Do I have to draw you a picture?
Well, I'll start with what I learned. I learned that I was reminded of the need to remind my kids that other people are free to make their own decisions without it meaning anything to do with them. And to remind them that in that moment, they might not be able to see the big picture, but there is a bigger picture at play, and it's okay and necessary to celebrate the changes going on in other people's lives.
I do understand where you're coming from. We have to help our children through their changes, especially as they hit them very hard.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing missing is, we had Alan and Amy in a scene, but we didn't really get any good Alan and Amy advice.
You know, Brett, it's almost like this episode needed to be a two-parter, like all the other episodes.
Yeah, it needed more time to breathe. Tyler, what
I
did
agree
you
with that.
learn?
I learned that sometimes when we are spiraling and disastrifying, we look like psychos. And if you're starting to feel some very intense emotions, find a safe place and find someone safe to talk to. And know that you might look crazy, but you're not actually crazy.
All right. So,
I'm right?
No, you're exactly right.
So am I done with my education? Can I go?
Tyler, how do you grade Things Change?
Pass.
You can't pass on grading.
No, I can't.
I already let you change a grade this season.
I know, but I want you to go first. I haven't made up my mind yet.
All right. I wrestled with a grade for this one, and I'm settling on a D.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not one I come back to very often, and I feel like it needed more time to breathe. It was all over the place. It wasn't paced very well. It had opportunities to really get in deep on some levels, and on other levels, it really did not present Cory in a good light. It didn't give him an opportunity to really dig in. And even in that last 30 seconds where he finally got to accept everything, he still threw that backhanded compliment to Sean, where I still feel like you're making the biggest mistake of your life, but okay. He still had to get his digs in, and there's just not enough positive to balance out all of the rough edges that needed sanded out in this one for me. So I'm settling with my D. What about you,
That's
Tyler?
fair. I can't look down upon you for that, Brett. I think just because of me relating to Cory this much and seeing what he is going through and me being able to put some words to what he is dealing with, uh, I
Disastrifying.
I think I am going to give a little bit nicer of a grade to this. You know, what I mean, I can't say this has always been one of my favorites, but there's always joy to this episode, especially Eric's stuff.
Was that
Um,
duckies? No,
and
garbage.
yeah, and I do love Eric. Sorry, I do love Jack. Maybe this is the start of his village in origin story. So, with all
Yeah.
that said, and taking into account of where this season has been, the show as a whole, and also I am Cory Matthews. I tend to forgive him a lot more than I should. Brett, so help me, I'm giving it a B minus.
All right. B minus it is. Goes in the grade book as a B minus. There will be no changing of that grade. Well, I believe before we go, you owe me some dad joke.
Yes,
Some
so
dad
I'll
joke.
give you a dad joke I heard earlier this week. Now, the person who told me said joke is very adamant that this is not a dad joke. But I tested it on some teenagers that were on the retreat with me, and they had no giggles to give, although I laughed my butt off whenever
That's
heard
usually a
this
good sign
joke.
that a
So,
joke's a dad joke. Were there
yes, it
groans?
is. More stairs. So, let's see here. Brett, what does a dyslexic, an insomniac, and an atheist uh, do all day?
A dyslexic, an insomniac, and an atheist do all day. I'm sure it has something to do with nothing, but what do you got?
They stay up all night wondering, is there a dog?
All right. Yeah, that's a dad joke.
Your former boss gave that to me.
Not surprised. Not
Mhm.
surprised at all. That's definitely a dad joke.
Yeah, I texted him back. I'm like, that's a great dad joke. I'm going to add that to. He's like, that's not a dad joke. That's a great joke.
No, that's a dad joke. Oh, yes. Well,
Yes.
good looking people. Thank you for joining us. It's been another good episode. If you'd like to send us your own dad jokes or your own thoughts on whether or not one of us was too harsh on Cory this week, you can
Or too forgiving.
Send us a message on one of our social channels across Instagram, Facebook, or X/Twitter. I've been a little bit lax on X lately. At dadsmeetworld across all three. You can find us on YouTube if you're not already watching us on YouTube at dadsmeetworld as well. And you can send us an email at dadsmeetworld@gmail.com. And you can pick up some sweet Dads Meet World swag at dadsmeetworld.threadless.com.
Yeah.
Always a good time. We got one more episode to go this season, plus our seasonal, we'll call it seasonal, report card that we do at the end of every season. So we're looking forward to seeing you for graduation next week. So until next time, good looking. I'll see ya.
Hi, good looking.
You know, how can I learn so much every week and still be so stupid? Was that duckies? No, garbage. I want to be normal, Spud.
We are the Timmers.
Read the Bible.
This is good TV.
Dads Meet World is a production of Headfirst Studios. Headfirst Studios. Tell your story.
Oh, that's right. Ow. Ow, 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 ow. Here. trying to grab onto my leg, and I have shorts on, so he's just sliding.
Mhm.
Let's see. Can you decide what you're doing?